Yep. Okay.
How long you have that thing?
Just a couple of months. It's a TV recording studio that fits in the palm of your hand. How's that for technology? When was your first TV? The black and white you bought in the late 50s?
We had TV for that.
Oh, you did? At the Hansons? Or where?
You mean when I first saw TV?
When did you buy your first one?
I'm not so sure about that, but about the time we bought the house.
Did it come with the house? The TV?
I don't know, it might have.
I remember the swivel. You know, the TV swiveled back and forth between the living room and the kitchen. Did that come with the house?
I don't know which swivel that's talking about, but
It had legs about that long, and then the TV went back and forth on it. And then years later, we bought a different one that moved back and forth.
well, that's been a long time ago.
Yeah, well, I remember. It was the original black and white. It had the controls up on the
The
top.
first time I seen TV much was in beer joints. Like on the speaker.
Really?
Friday night fights is always on beer joints, and if you didn't buy a beer, they didn't want you in there.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
They're there to sell beer. How much was a beer?
Oh, I don't know.
30 cents? 50 cents?
No, 10 cents for a glass of beer.
That wasn't bad.
Yeah, a day's wages is $1 a lot of times for some people.
Wow.
Not far from that, but I got there just at the time when things was going up. I didn't know it. I was lucky.
But if you think you would have been a veteran, you would have gotten a different job or found a higher paying job easier if you would have been a veteran.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's probably a good thing you weren't. You would have ended up somewhere in the South Pacific, probably.
See all them flowers lean towards the sun?
Yeah, yesterday they were covered in snow.
Yeah, maybe they'll straighten up today. That one's moving like it's going to straighten up.
Okay, here's the old traditional questions. From the farm that you grew up on, how far did you have to walk to get to school?
You know that. Mile and a half. No road across there.
You mean from the Ocheeden farm to town, or from when you were in Sibley?
When I started school,
Yeah.
I started school in Viola Township.
Where the heck's
That
that?
was about a quarter mile from the house to the schoolhouse. I was in Viola Township, west of Sibley, about 8 miles.
Oh,
My
okay.
dad didn't even believe in staying on a farm. He was a mover.
Huh.
He rented the farm out to somebody to raise sugar beets. They had Mexicans working there. That's where I got acquainted with Mexicans first.
Huh. Were they hard working?
Yes, they were.
How,
They didn't give us any trouble at all. They lived out like a bunch of cattle in a cattle shed.
huh.
No running water, but it had a new cement floor, and they could open and shut the doors. It was a boogie shed is what it was.
Huh. And what was there such a thing as illegal immigrants back then?
I don't know.
I mean, nowadays you see people on the news swimming across the Rio Grande River.
They weren't supposed to be criminals or anything either.
Okay. What were your regular chores on the farm? What did you have to do that you didn't get paid for?
We were supposed to gather eggs and bring in wood, do things like that.
Yeah.
What's the sayings about Puma?
Go Pumas. What other chores?
Well, we had chicken feed the chickens, and
Oh, go.
help pull weeds and things like that. That was
How do you
chores.
spell Puma?
P-U-M-A.
Work in the garden.
Did you actually have a lot of cattle back then, or just grow things?
We
A.
had milk cows and raised calves, had a few orphans, and if we had a surplus of If corn
What do you
or
think,
anything,
Dad? Does this go along with
we
that?
could,
Stay back.
What do you think, Dad?
Stay back. Yes, it looks great. It looks great. Thank you.
Okay.
Olivia.
I knew she'd do that.
Of course she would. She's a ham.
You got a big kick out of that, didn't you?
Okay, Olivia,
No,
go
don't do it
around.
again. Once I was an ornery kid too, so they said.
Yeah. So did you have to milk cows by hand?
I started milking when I was really young.
By hand?
Oh yes, we didn't have a darn thing.
Yikes. Was it worth it? Is it worth it to have milk and butter?
You didn't understand what a mess farming was when we started there. My dad bought the place from the relation, and he built it all down in a place where every spring the flood water would come in there. And then they had to move the barn and everything out of there.
But didn't move the house. That's what I find amazing.
The house, you can't move that. It was
Uh,
a 4-bedroom,
yeah,
4-basement with a new house, new furniture.
yeah. That's
But that's just looking 10 years ahead and trying to beat the game.
yeah. What do you remember about your brothers and sisters on the farm?
We all had work to do and they tried to keep us busy.
Did your older brothers and sister try to raise you, or were they part of the problem?
My brothers and sisters like to squabble.
Hmm.
Each one of them thinks they know everything.
So when did you get a gas stove in the house? Was it originally a wood burning stove in the kitchen?
It was my money from my place.
Oh, the propane stove? Yeah, but then you have to buy propane.
Yeah, it was worth it just for cooking. Propane is much better than a wood cook stove.
Is that what it was when you were growing up?
We had kerosene stoves before I had propane.
Kerosene? Aren't they a little dangerous?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
So is a wood fire when you go to bed. And
Yeah. Well, I remember a pot-bellied stove in that house in the dining room area or whatever you called it. But that was the only source of heat in there at the time.
and in the parlor,
Was there another one in
there
there?
was an Allen furnace in there that you could sit on. Had a jacket on it.
Oh.
Those were popular in those days too.
Okay, I
Yeah,
remember
you
that.
had to mow in the yard.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the golf course.
No, I hope it'd be
That's
nice.
his yard.
It'd be nice if you'd mow mine. It needs it. So, do you celebrate any holidays back then that you can remember from your childhood?
Oh, yes, they had 4th of July.
4th of July?
Oh, yes.
Any
School
family
day and the school, we had to have a picnic.
any
Go
family
to the lake.
traditions? You know, like was Christmas a big deal where
Oh, yes. we
relatives came in or you
had
went to
about
relatives?
6 different churches in Eden. They made a big deal out of Christmas.
Well, what was your family tradition?
Yeah, we'd go.
To which brand? Which religion?
Congregational church.
That was your mom's? How did she go from being, wasn't she born Irish Catholic?
She was never Catholic.
Oh. I thought she was Irish though. Huh. I always thought she was.
Scotch and Irish on her dad's side.
Ah, okay. So did you have a big Christmas celebration at home? You know, the tree and all that stuff?
Well, yeah, we used to have, they'd give us a little bit of something.
Do you remember any of those presents? Bicycles? Anything?
I bought my own bicycle. My dad was, he didn't think that was right.
Why? Hurt yourself?
Well, the neighbors give us some duck eggs to hatch. I hatched them out. Then I raised the ducks and sold them and used the money to buy a Montgomery Ward bicycle. And then the neighbor kids, they liked to borrow my bicycle. My dad used to tell me that that bicycle was part of his because he raised the feed and fed the ducks.
Did he Did he ride it or just?
Oh, he'd like to tell me about it.
Yeah. So when did you get your first gun?
I don't remember that, but I had it a long time.
Was it 22 single shot?
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember you saying that you'd shoot starlings and squirrels and get a bounty for them.
yeah.
What was the economics of that? As I recall, it was a pretty good deal.
A whole nickel for starling.
For every starling?
They found out they couldn't. They didn't have enough money to do that. The starlings raised 2 crops of birds every year.
Oh yeah, and they fly in from other areas too. How about, was it gophers or what else?
Yeah, you could trap pocket gophers and shoot striped gophers.
And there was a bounty on them?
Those old pocket gophers. Nickel,
And then how much was ammunition?
nothing much.
Like 10 cents a box?
Yeah, pretty cheap compared to what it is now.
Yeah. Did you actually do any hunting of game? Edible food?
My mother told me to go get a pheasant one time. I was just sitting in the house there, on a bottle of cheese in there. And she didn't have any meat for dinner, she thought, so she roosted a pheasant climbing into an evergreen tree by the house. And she told me she wanted him for supper, so I went out and shot him.
Who got to clean it?
I don't know.
Huh.
She helped.
Huh.
We had illegal pheasant for supper, but they kind of had the idea if a pheasant's living off the farmers, so they could shoot one once in a while. Wouldn't be as big a crime as
Yeah.
hunting out of season or anything.
But what about deer or rabbits? Anything else?
We used to have the deer come into the evergreen groves up to the barn, stay there at night.
Yeah. So you ever shoot them and have them for
I
dinner?
didn't shoot at the deer.
Huh. Rabbits?
Shoot rabbits and eat them. I killed about 50 rabbits once, just for fun.
Just for fun?
Let them lay.
Huh. Was it, were there too many of them?
Too many of them.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Huh. So, were they good eating if you...
You could eat a rabbit.
Yeah. A lot of work, I would think.
Well, no, you do it right.
How old were you when you did that?
Pretty young.
Like what? Less than 15?
Yeah.
Huh. Huh. Later this afternoon.
See, I can remember back when we used to go to the neighbors and see things, and when I was 12 years old.
Already afternoon.
And that's when Lewis and Smelling had their fights on
I
TV.
feel that it's snack time.
On TV? On TV? Do you remember listening to any of the radio broadcasts of the 1940s? Fireside chats?
Oh, they had things on, I don't know what was on the 40s or not. They had TV pretty soon. And they had movies before that all the time. There's not much difference between a movie and a TV.
Well, you have to go to a theater.
Yeah.
Movie is, or TV.
Sometimes they used to have free movies up in the town.
Was that during World War II?
Sometimes, yeah.
Did you ever think of any of the movies as being propaganda?
Oh yeah, we always heard that. A lot of people, they wouldn't go because they didn't agree with it.
Huh. But was it news of war in the Pacific or war in Europe?
Yeah, it's German people we lived with. They thought it was, they didn't think it was necessary, or they felt they were right.
But there was never a threat of the German people of the area rising up and fighting the American government. No. Okay. But they were a little sympathetic to some of the messages. What about when the war got nasty and people started, firebombing each other and atrocities on every side? Were people still sympathetic?
We had a neighbor kid that got killed pretty quick.
In Europe?
Conrad Compass. No. No. His name was Conrad something, but he was a grandson of one of our neighbors.
Huh. Where did you sleep as a kid? Upstairs? Always upstairs?
No. Oh,
We
no.
always do.
Damn.
Slept with us to keep warm, but later on we stayed upstairs.
Yeah.
He goes up, so it wasn't too bad up there.
Yeah.
And one room up on the west up there was one room.
How many kids? How many bedrooms were up there?
2 up, 2 down.
Oh, is that all? Okay. Well, a lot of rooms up there. There are more
And
rooms.
an attic and a storage room. And each bedroom had a good big closet. One of them bedrooms had room for 2 double beds. South bedroom.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's been a while. All right, I'm gonna put this on hold a second.
Well, they tore the whole house down. I can't understand it.
Huh.
Still,
3 years ago we went by there and it was still standing, but it was a mess.
yeah. Well, they should have reshingled it.
20 years earlier. All right, I'm gonna stop this. There, I got you back on camera again. Do you remember your favorite school teacher?
Barely.
Who was it?
That says Gilbert Ray.
Was that I guess you had one teacher for every subject?
That was a big brother of a school teacher, woman school teacher, Ray.
Huh. Why was he a
And
good
Ray
teacher?
was our neighbors.
Well, why was he a good teacher?
Well, he could sit down and listen. They had patience, and they had a bunch of people living on an island there at Sioux City that he went down, and he started at the bottom, and it was a big help for them, and he could come back and tell you, compare the difference between our students and his students today, the way we were and the way they were down there.
Huh.
It's just the bottom of the barrel down there.
Sioux City?
Sioux City, some of them half and half, I had everything.
Huh.
Just all kinds of people living in Sioux City there.
Yeah. Well, the people in Sioux City, obviously they didn't have farms. You know, a lot of the towns around where you were at, people left the farms for one reason or another. Why was Sioux City different? Because it had packing plants?
It was supposed to be the bottom of the barrel. And they had their own problems.
Yeah. I think that's no different than Denver, Chicago.
They had a lot of uneducated people living there.
Huh. I know Fargo, North Dakota doesn't have a very good reputation. But, huh. Well, didn't you think that about Topeka when you moved to town? I certainly thought of that about it after I left and went back.
What do you mean, how much uneducated?
Bottom of the barrel type people.
Well, when you go somewhere and get a job and you're 20-some years old, I was 26 when I started, so you start at the bottom again. But I was lucky in.
But you didn't think of yourself as a bottom of the barrel person, though.
Well, I had to a certain extent. I wasn't black and I wasn't white and I wasn't Mexican, so.
Well, you were white. But do you think
I was Irish.
Did you think of yourself as more educated than the average
And I
coworker?
think everybody does that. They think they know everything, they don't know nothing. That's what I've been told, and I'm no different. That's my education.
Well, you're pretty well read. I mean, you've read a lot. And I know that I worked at Hills 2 summers, and I thought that the average laborer there was not overly well educated.
Well, if you open your mouth up around there, everything you say is used against you. It's a union,
Yeah.
and you better not be criticizing anybody because there's nothing worse than a snitch. That's your education around that place.
Yeah.
You do anything bad about anybody, you better keep your mouth shut. Because they're going to remember it.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
and then they can add a little bit onto it too if you do something you're not supposed to do or been doing.
yeah. I'd say that's no different than corporate.
It's very
Politics.
competitive madhouse.
Yep.
Telling lies beats working for a living. You could be a good worker, but it don't do you 2 cents worth of good.
Yeah.
That's why they had a union there.
Huh.
If it hadn't been for the union, I probably wouldn't have survived.
Yeah.
They had great big 200-pound guys working there. They could lift them horse quarters around by themselves, some of them did.
Yeah.
But I could back a trailer in, some of them couldn't do that.
Huh. Okay. Let's see. What do you think the best advice you were ever given was? And who gave it to you? Who gave you good advice?
I've heard plenty of advice.
Who gave you some good advice?
My brothers.
Why were they qualified to give you good advice?
Well, they knew what I was going to get into, probably.
Yeah. Well, I'll ask you the same question that President Bush was asked. What mistakes have you made? And of course, he couldn't answer that question. He just stood there and looked stupid.
Everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah, but if you're president, you can't admit to it. But what do you think were some mistakes that you made?
Oh, I made plenty of mistakes.
When you were young or when you were old?
I jumped on my feet and ruined my feet. Having fun.
Oh, you're kind of young then.
Well, I was 10 years old or less. But I've been paying for it all my life. But when you're 10 years old, your bones kind of go back together a little bit. They start off bad and they kind of get better as you go older. But I got a broken bone in this foot yet. Got a sore spot there that never healed. Hasn't yet. But I'm still working on it, and I think I can heal it about as good as the doctors can.
Yeah, I don't think they really understand that it's different because you broke it 70 years ago. So I don't think the doctors fully understand what it is.
Yeah, 1 foot's bigger than the other.
What do you remember about your grandparents?
Well, the only one that I can remember is my grandma when she tried to be boss.
Don't they all?
Yeah.
But whose mother was it? Was it your
My
father?
dad's mother.
Trying to boss your mom?
She come there and lived with us for a while.
How old was she?
Well, she was pretty old. And she raised 2 kids herself, so she thought she was qualified.
So your mother didn't appreciate the advice and the help?
Well, I don't know about that, but 2 women can't get along in the same house. My dad used to say that. They aren't made that way.
Did he try to make things better, or did he just watch it happen?
Well, he liked to talk about it. She had 2 old maids and never even got married. Too much German blood in them.
Why didn't they get married?
They had too good opinion in themselves. They couldn't find a man that's good enough for them.
I've seen that happen. I've seen that happen. And, it's unfortunate, but maybe it's the natural and best thing. It's natural selection.
Yeah, we got plenty of population in this world without everybody raising 6 kids, like some of them do.
Yeah. Okay, so when did you buy your first motorcycle?
Oh, how old was I?
Yeah.
I was probably about
We're going to keep the real one and
about
let them
49.
When?
In 49.
What was it? A Harley?
It's a half of a Harley.
Half of a Harley? What is one cylinder, two stroke?
One cylinder, 2 strokes. Add oil to gas.
Huh. It sounds like it didn't have much power.
Oh, I wonder
It had quite a bit of power and speed in some ways. It had plenty of speed to it getting killed.
Yeah.
People used to, I was so curious about that thing. They'd come up about 15, 20 feet behind you in the car, just ride along to listen to it. I'd have to go slow or just be careful.
Yeah. Huh. When I rode a motorcycle, I discovered that people would give you more room because they thought that, you know.
Yeah, well, these are curious. They do that and they gotta ease back.
There weren't helmets back then, were there?
Oh yeah, you get a helmet.
Did you wear one?
And,
Did you ever have it fall down in the rain or on slick roads?
oh yeah.
Ever get hurt?
No,
No broken bones?
I broke one of the foot pedals one time. Swerved too close to a car.
Did you hit the car?
I broke the foot pedal off. Had to take it to the shop and get it fixed back on again.
Huh.
But I seen I was going to hit, so I raised my foot up.
Well, you're lucky. You would have got your leg smashed.
Maybe
Yeah.
I had to swerve like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going around and around 6 times on that.
So why did you give up motorcycling?
Well, Art and I owned it together, and we agreed to sell it. He had a car. I took this thing to Kansas City, took it down here, and wrote him a letter, and he said, go ahead and sell it. I bought a car and I put it